Not a gamble when I ramble. All my slime balls, we parlay. We just stick to the money. The tickets no funny. The chalk boys get in the bag. Nothing to stage, stop in the cage. Needed a chin and he lay on the mat. It's Wednesday takes, making Wednesday great. You'll see in MMA. Big Gun Brian, no denying where he be and what he say. Word of my cappers, we speak facts from start to finish. What's the weight? The value boys, we showing love. CGI dub is Wednesday takes.
Woo! Wednesday takes coming at you on a Wednesday. What's up with the what's up? Listen, we're off a rare week that the UFC is off again. I hate it. I need it in my life. What the shit? But we are off this week. We are going to have a nice little fun show here today. We're going to talk everything from the recap of Dern. We're going to touch Bellator a little bit, give you some quick takes. I have this impossibly hard challenge for myself. Let's see if the listeners or viewers can do it. Probably on this one, you have to watch it because it's just the dumbest thing I ever. And I was like, I want to put it into the pick'ems, but it makes no sense. I go, oh, well, I can do it on Wednesday takes because it makes no sense why this is so fun to me. So we'll show a video doing that. AMA had some people ask me anythings. And then I got a story time again. I almost lost my life to a Kung Fu master. Not really. It was a story that I actually forgot. And my parents reminded me and they don't remember shit. So welcome to the show. I got to get this off my chest right away. I mean, I'm talking right away. So I am my own worst enemy. Worst critic. First off, if you notice the camera, if the camera quality looks bad, I apologize. I'm a man of opportunity. I had a nice camera. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And it's sold out everywhere. So people are wanting to buy it. So I made a little extra cash, zip that off. Speaking about extra cash. So anyway, I'm a man of not so much focus. You know, I'm an obsessive, compulsive, locked in on, I only have no multitasking. It's got to be one thing right there, right? I'm getting better at it in my life, but I'm not like, I don't have many hobbies. I'm not obsessed with like a ton of stuff in my life besides like MMA and obviously my family and all the important stuff, but like, that's about it. Like, I love doing this. And so 2 months ago, my buddy's like, hey, I can get my hands on a PS5. You want it? I said, yeah, of course. So he got me a PS5. And I grew up playing video games. I love video games. I had Sega was my first one. I'm old, I know. And then, and then PlayStation 2, yada, yada. And it was a really good, like, escapism for me. I like to play, and I played the sports games. I played Grand Theft Auto. Like, I wasn't like the biggest gamer, but I did like playing those, kind of get my head out of it. Well, I haven't had a system in almost 3 years, probably over 3 years, actually. Had a PS4, sold it, really wasn't playing it. And I kind of wanted to get the PS5 because I'm like, you know what? The new UFC game's going to come out. I want to play that. Possibly the new Grand Theft Auto. I hadn't played Madden in a few years. I used to like the Madden games. Anyway, I get the fucking thing about 2 months ago. He got me a game with it. Him and I were playing that game. I finished that game with him. And then I get Madden. And then I become not obsessed to the point where it's like my duties of being a father and a human being. I'm not like, I'm still bathing myself. I'm still being a father. I'm still showing up to work, but I just became like clouded in my mind. Now, this is the most important thing to me, obviously, besides family. I have an opportunity, thankfully, for John Anik and Kenny Florian and Cody Mayer that gave me the opportunity where a lot of the people that are listening to me and watching me now come over from that show, right? So I've been on my grind for however, I've been doing this podcast for 4 years. Haven't even been on the Anik and Florian for a full year yet. So I feel like the PlayStation was taken away of my focus. I wasn't as dialed in. I wasn't as, as much as I look back at the live we did last week. I thought that was great. I thought the pick'ems were good. Again, I am my own tough critic, but I just still feel like I could be doing more. And I just feel like everything is now like, I got so comfortable doing this because now I'm like comfortable doing this that I was like, oh, I could play PS5 and play Madden for 5 hours or whatever it is, or you know what I mean? And I just, I'm the type of person that needs to be so hyper-focused, almost to the point of being burnt out, almost to the point where it's like, okay, I need a little break here. And then you'll get a break too or here. Like the NFL is my break. I love watching the NFL on Sundays, but the PlayStation became a big distraction. So I had to break it to my buddy. I'm going to sell the thing. So I'm going to sell it. I haven't put it on the fucking Wild West marketplace yet because Facebook is absolutely wild. But if you're interested, you want a PS5 and you're unlike me, you can control yourself. It's for sale. I have a couple nibbles. Like I posted on Facebook. I'm trying to sell it to somebody I know. That way I don't have to deal with the whole rigmarole with, because they're scam artists. I mean, people have been shot over fucking dumb shit like this. So I'd rather not do that. I'd rather sell it to somebody that I know. So I'm laying that out there if you guys want it. I mean, it's a whole bundle. It comes with a bunch of shit. If you really are interested, I'm not trying to sell you on it. Just DM me and I'll tell you the specifics if it's still available by the time you see this, which I believe it will be, but we'll see. So I have to get rid of the thing because my mind just isn't there. I have this opportunity right now to strike while the iron's hot, and behind the scenes, there's a couple things that are kind of in the works for me as well. And I just feel like right now isn't a good time for lack of concentration, lack of focus. I need to be all the way in, lock the fuck in. My dream is to somehow do this for a living one day and get paid and support my family and whatever, doing something I always or do something you truly love. That's what you want for your kids. I tell my daughter all the time, I said, do you want to do gymnastics? Do you want to do dance? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do jujitsu? I try to push her in these different directions. And she's like, no, right? She's not really interested in that. And some parents will throw their kids in that, like, well, you got to do an activity. This is going to be fun. This will be good for you. I'm on the belief of, she's 5 years old. She knows what she wants to do right now. And she's not really interested in that. So I'm trying to find something that she is interested in and pursue her that. Like when I was a kid, I was really interested in baseball. My parents threw me in baseball. They didn't throw me in anything I didn't want to do. I used to beg to do things and they would finally cave in and let me do it. So it's my dream for my children to do something that they love and that they're passionate about. And this is something that I love and I'm passionate about. And I'm thankful I get to do it in front of the amount of people I get to do it from right now, let alone the possibility of getting money to do it is just, it's out of this world. So the lack of focus and concentration, I can't have it. I can't have it. So, I'm not even hiding my addiction today, babe. Not a paid sponsor. I'm dragging a little bit today. I got to get up from Wednesday Take. So PS5 gone. Got to stay focused. Let's recap Dern and Yan Xiaonan. Went 7-4 on my picks. My bets were okay. I didn't have many bets. My slime ball lost. So my slime ball was Ricci, Costa, Brown. Ricci fight got canceled because Panay got sick. Randy Costa's maybe the worst fighter in the UFC. What a bum. And Randy Brown looked okay for being my mortal lock. 2 and 3 out of my locks. I had a lock parlay too. Randy Brown was my send him home. I didn't play him by finish, but I did play him like just money line. I should have played the fight doesn't go to decision. That's on me. That's a bad read on me. I could have won that parlay. I didn't because I'm an absolute moron. What else? I had Mike Davis by decision. Oddly enough, that was a nice little number. That was my small hit on the night. I missed Sadiq Yusuf. I had that over 1.5. I missed that. I had Randy Brown by TKO. I missed that. I had him the win in TKO as well, separately outside the parlay. Not much on the win because he was so high, but obviously he didn't get the TKO. And then I had Mackenzie Dern with submission. I had John C. Ronson also and Chelsea Chandler. Chelsea Chandler and Mike Davis by decision were my only hits. Should have had Brendan Allen. I had him in the locks parlay. I really was thinking about playing him by subs. I really felt that fight all night. I completely missed it. But Oleinik versus Latifi, it's like two mooses fucking, right? God damn that fight. That fight stunk. But I get to keep my hair. I just got out of the shower, so my hair is absolutely soaking wet, so I had to throw this hat on. A lot of people think I look terrible on hats. They said, hey, BP, don't wear a hat. You look terrible. Your face is fat. Your head's too big. You don't look good in hats. But, my hair was absolutely, I still hasn't gotten cut. I need to get it cut. So I had to throw this hat on. So if I look terrible, I apologize. But Latifi squeaked by in that one. That one gave me a little bit of pause. I don't give a fuck. I would have shaved my head. I don't care. Really, it's just hair. It's almost like a crime for me to shave my head because it's such a fucking gorgeous head of hair. People just, they come all over to see this fucking thing, But it's just hair to me. I don't ever really do anything with it. So I would have shaved it if had to be. But I don't want to because my head would have been cold in the winter. Starting to get cold in Cincinnati. It would have been Jesse Ronson versus Silva. Ronson stinks. He's out of the UFC. Liked him as a dog here. Silva just, didn't really do much. Did the same thing over and over again and buckled Ronson, who's just a trash can at this point. Chester Chandler, 2-9, baby. The Diaz brothers, she looked in there. She was mean. She's big. She's big for that division. I thought she was going to be bigger against Storilenko. Storilenko is a good first-round fighter. After that, she tends to fade her. She's getting better, but I do think the Dogger Pass podcast, I believe, nicknamed her Stinko Storilenko or something like that. So, I mean, that's a very apt nickname. I thought she had a little bit of a dog in here, but I think Chandler was the right play. I'm glad I played her. Bigger, stronger. I think her ground game was put into question, which I think we can put that to bed. I think she's pretty solid just because of her size. And she's mean. She's tough. She landed big shots. Brendan Allen versus Krzysztof Jocko. I'll always fade Jocko just for whatever fucking reason. Brendan Allen, I thought, posed an interesting problem for him. He's aggressive. He's big. He can stand up. And then when he goes to the ground, he's not going to play it safe. He's going to go for it. That's what Jocko. I think you got to take chances against this guy because he plays it so safe. Brendan Allen did, subbed him, got him out of there. Impressive performance. Like the post fight as well. The young man is, got some losses in UFC, but he's staying active and he's getting after it. And, he's got wins up at 205. So good for Brendan Allen. Renny Costa versus Guido Canetti. Bum. Renny Costa, good looking guy, great mustache, seems like a good kid. He came to the UFC at 4-0. And the 4-0 guys, the 4 guys he beat before he came to the UFC, none of them had winning records. They all were absolute trash bags. So yeah, he maybe needs to take a step outside the UFC before he gets a shot here. Guido looked good, but I mean, Renny Costa quit. I tweeted this out. Like, there's no hooks in, no nothing. He's got your neck. Roll, get up, do something. You know what I mean? There's ways out of that. And I'm a white belt. Like, I've never rolled in a gi before, and I know how to get out of that. I don't even qualify for a white belt, but I could have at least attempted to get out of that. He just gave up. He quit. He broke. Sad to see. Mike Davis versus Slava Klaus. Mike Davis looked good. He looked big. He looked strong in there. Faded a little bit, but again, Slava just cannot take anybody down. I think Mike Davis has a big, big, bright future. Needs to fight a little bit. Post-fight was okay. He's like, hey, I'll fight more if you get me to 100K. I mean, the guy's absolutely fucking ripped. I got to imagine that he's, I'm not going to say that. Let's just say that, he can probably only fight a handful of times a year for a reason. But I thought he looked good. I think he's extremely talented. And I look forward to him climbing the ladder because Slava's a tough dude. Thought he had him out of there in the first round. I thought my bet was going up in flames when he was on ground and pound and just fucking laying hammers. But Slava's tough, man. 0 takedown defense. I think my almost 2-year-old now can take him down. She's fucking tough. Sadiq Yusuf versus Don Shanis. Excuse me. No disrespect, Don. Okay. There's an O. There's not an A, Brian. I thought Shanis was not a live underdog. I just thought this was a scary bet at Sadiq at minus 900. Obviously, he made it look easy. Went out there, brutalized the body, and then showed his well-roundedness by taking a neck. I love that performance by Sadiq. He might be a front runner to get the Mitchell fight down that Musa Evilov is out. I know Taporo might be in there as well, but Sadiq threw his name in a hat. I also know he wants Korean Zombie, which I think is a fun fight. So a lot of stuff on the horizon for Sadiq, who I think is a real good, genuine, good person, good fighter. Like the guy, extremely talented. I just think he needs to get on a little bit of a roll here. Hani Barcelos, did his typical Hani Barcelos stuff, took him down, beat him up, looked pretty good. Trevin Jones, that's just a weakness of his game. And, I just don't know if that's ever going to get cleaned up. I don't know if Trevin Jones is going to have a job much longer. John Castaneda versus Daniel Santos. Daniel Santos knocked him out. Castaneda looked great in that first round. Fell off a cliff. Santos is fucking durable as they come. Got rocked a million times. Looked like a mini Charles Oliveira out there. Trains with Charles Oliveira. Fought like Charles Oliveira. And got the win like Charles Oliveira. Impressive stuff by Santos. Nice dog hit there. For anybody that plays Santos, I did not. I had Castaneda, but I don't think I betted him. I'd have to check. Maybe I threw him in a Hail Mary lottery parlay, but I don't think so. Randy Brown versus Francisco Trinaldo. Goddamn, he called him Uncle T. I love that nickname for Trinaldo. This guy's 45 years old. He just won't go away. Got dropped. Looked good. Cardio looked good. Still took Randy Brown down. Close fight. I had Randy winning, but there's an argument that people thought Uncle T won. I'm not going to be sitting here fighting for Randy Brown all that much. It was a really bad fence grab, which my guy John Anik said, maybe if you pull your testicles out, take a point away. I of course agree with them. I think when an egregious fence grab like that, you can't award the takedown because you don't know how that would have transitioned to a takedown. You can't award the takedown, in my opinion. But what you can do is you can take a point and go, that changes the fight right there, man. That could have changed the round. Who knows if you would have got up? Who knows if you got down? That there's so many sequences that could happen, and there's so much unknowing that you have to take the point in that situation. Mackenzie Dern versus Jan Sonnen, that's the one that we want to talk about. I was on the Dern side here. Oh man, Yao Shinan looked good, didn't she? She was as prepared as you can be. She looked a little, to me in the beginning, pre-fight, she looked not as confident as I think, but she trained her ass off. Her cardio was good. Mackenzie Dern looked amazing. I had this fight a draw, by the way. I had a 10-8 for Mackenzie Dern in round 5. She won round 2. Round 5 was a 10-8. I have not seen this back yet. A lot of people were saying round 5 was not a 10-8. For my first viewing, it was a 10-8. I thought she controlled her and was looking for submissions. But Yang Sanan, I'm impressed by both females, first off. I mean, Mackenzie Dern, tough as nails. I love the way she is handling this loss, saying, when I get the fight to the ground, she's very, had some humility to her. I need to finish. I'm not finishing. Like, what the fuck's my you know what I mean? Like, she didn't say that, but I love that. I love that she's striving to get better. And then Yang Shanan is a contender. I think her and Rose need to fight. Yeah, I know they might hold Rose out for a title shot. Maybe Rose isn't willing to take fights like that. But Yang Shanan, I mean, she's already fought Marina Rodriguez. She's already fought Dern. She's already fought Carlos Barza. I don't think a title shot's going to happen unless Wei Li Zhang wins and they go China versus China, which I don't know if they want to do. But I think Yang Shanan is an absolute stud, and she looked fucking great in this fight. She really did, and just kept her elbows tight, arms glued to her side. Mackenzie Dern is dangerous in all those positions. That omoplata was deep. It was hurting my shoulder, those back takes, and she had her back. Mackenzie Dern had her back for a long time. Jan did give an inch, and then a couple of the arm bar attempts, the knee bar attempts, the heel hooks, everything was just, I mean, Mackenzie Dern is one of the, if the most dangerous fighter, female fighter, 150-pound fighter on the ground, and Jan survived, and I love that. But again, she was very defensive in that 5th round. I feel like you got to award the offense, even in grappling. 10-8s get thrown around when guys get knocked all over the cage, but when if you're getting ragdolled on the ground and almost getting finished, I think that warrants a 10-8. That's a draw in my opinion, but either way, I mean, my bet would have been a push. My other bet would have lost, so it's not like I'm green color glasses here. I would have lost either way, or at least pushed. Impressed with both females. I think they could both get 5 stars from me. They are incredible athletes. All right, Bellator. That was Jan versus Dern. Bellator coming up here. We got AJ McKee, my guy. I love AJ McKee. Looked pretty good against Spike Carlisle, up at 55. I thought he looked good at 55. Spike Carlisle came out like a fucking bat out of hell, jumping kicks and going crazy. Carlisle's a guy, he's a 1-round fighter. He's as durable as they come, but he fades. And he's just so tough. And he has all this heart that he wills himself to the end. And a lot of times he'll get the victory. He's hard to finish. AJ looked great off the bottom. His elbows were nasty. He cut him open. His wrestling looked good. His grappling looked good. His striking looked a little off to me. He's not like a prolific striker. He does have really good long-range shots. But when you get in a brawl like that and you're a long-rangey guy and you don't have your distance and you're winging your shots, it doesn't look as clean as when you do have your distance. So he definitely got drawn into a brawl a little bit, which I don't like, but I still want that kid over in the UFC. I know there's talks about maybe him re-signing with Bellator. I don't know his contract situation. I thought he had 1 fight up, 1 fight left. Thought this was his last fight. That's why they didn't do the Pitbull fight. That's not the case. After this fight, no one talked about him, signing somewhere else. It's not even a narrative. So either he re-signed with Bellator and it went above my head, I missed it, or he's got another fight left. If you know in the comments, fire away. I would love to know what AJ McKee's status is, because I want that kid in the UFC. I think he belongs in the UFC. He's a stud. Pitbull, another Pitbull performance. Adam Borks is a tough, durable dude. And Pitbull, look good. The problem with Pitbull, to me, right? I think he's a good fighter, but like, listen, I realize you gotta go out there and you gotta, sorry, I got to tweet. You gotta go out there and you gotta kind of swing your dick a little bit, for a better lack of, after a fight. You're in Bellator. You're in the 2nd, maybe even 3rd-rate organization at this point, depending how you view PFL, 1 championships, so forth. And you're a great fighter. You're double champ in that organization. You want to go down to 35. You accomplished everything, but no one's giving you that respect, right? Everyone's talking about Volkanovski. So you got to go out there. But he just seems so angry when he doesn't. There's very lacks of personality out of him. I think he's hanging his career win on that knockout over Michael Chandler, which was like 1 punch, 30 seconds in. I mean, that happens to a lot of guys. I don't know. I just don't think I'll ever like him or his brother. And I'm not afraid to admit it, but I also don't know why I don't like him. There's not a real concrete reason, except that I just don't like him. You know what I mean? All right, so it's quick takes here. Let's see if I can pull this up. Let's see if I'm on the new software here, which is absolutely phenomenal. And they are. I'm in touch with them, hopefully to sponsor the show. I don't think this is gonna work. Let me see. Instagram. Try to get on Instagram here. We're gonna talk about Conor McGregor. Sorry about the dead air. Dead air. That's not my password. All my passwords are the same, besides a couple capitalized here, a couple different numbers here. Let's see if that's it. Right. One last shot here, then I think we're out to give this one up, boys. All right. Spelling everything right, spelling everything right, spelling everything right. This is riveting audio for the audio folks. Come on. I really don't see, like, because you're just on Instagram all the time. I thought I could just your phone. All right, fuck it. All right, so it was Conor McGregor, right? He's been posting a lot of shit. He's been doing a lot of Q&As on Twitter, and a lot of, because he's filming a movie. I think he's bored. But my biggest problem, right, is the training footage. How real is this stuff? I feel like the one he posted today or this morning or last night or whenever he did, where he's like a new move from McGregor, and he just did like kind of a shoulder shift, straight left hand, and rocked his training partner. First off, who are these guys he's training? Because they do not look like high level guys to me. Second off, that he's giant right now, right? There's a whole case of him not getting tested for steroids, which, again, I'm a Conor guy. I love Conor when he's done for the sport. But if he's in the USADA pool and he's not getting tested because of a movie or some shit like that, I think that's bullshit. But he looks absolutely massive right now. He's the biggest he ever has. And then these videos that he's releasing, he's not saying that they're current, but I think he's releasing them to make to make people think they're current, I guess, like that he's training. And he might be, because, legs, he said, it's better. But I mean, some of these videos, he's super lean. He's wearing a headgear, so his hair is always changing, so I don't know. But the video he puts today where he landed that left hand on that guy that hurt him, he's lean in that. That was him getting ready for a fight. And he's posting like this is like just the most recent stuff. And he's getting very, he's what it is he's playing a tough guy in the Roadhouse movie, right? He's playing a Billy Badass, right? So he goes, maybe he's like full Daniel Day-Lewis. He's getting in the character. And then as he's in character and offset, he goes, wait a second, I am a badass. So he goes and does the Twitter stuff and let people ask him questions, and he's throwing shots at people. And, I've never lost to a Brazilian. Every Brazilian I fought's knocked out. I'll knock out Oliveira, but yet he's saying he wants to fight at 70. You get the Oliveira fight, you ain't fighting at 70. Well, maybe you are because you're Conor, but, that wouldn't make much sense to me. You're fighting at welterweight now, but, these videos that are coming out, the one where he's like bare knuckle and he's like punching the guy's shoulders, right? I feel like that is more recent because he looks big in that. But what is that, right? And then they were showing some grappling and stuff. And again, the guys he can be training are the high level guys. I just don't know, but they don't look high level guys to me. It looks like he's getting a guy that is with his crew that he's tossing around, that has trained before, right? It doesn't look like it's his high level training. Now, Conor McGregor is a loyal guy. He's always going to be at that Irish gym, but SBG, but he's never, I don't know. There's a lot of thoughts about it, trying to process it. Look at the videos. I wish I could show you, but I don't remember my Instagram password. And you tell me what you think, because all these videos to me appear to be from different time periods, before leg injuries, after leg injuries, whatever. And I just, a lot of people, they're doing the eye emojis when they see it. They're like, oh, Conor's grappling. Oh, Conor's back. Ooh. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And I'm a Conor guy. I love Conor. I almost wore a Conor shirt just to, to represent him today. But I'm not excited about what I'm seeing. And again, I'm going to give the guy credit. He isn't doing a movie right now. He is coming off a severe leg injury. And, it's been a while since he's trained. So it is what it is. I don't like to move to 170 personally. I think he's too ballooned up. I think he has too much muscle in his frame. I think he's going to be slow. That was the thing with Conor. He was so precise and fast, and his timing was money. That's why I'll always say 145 Conor is the best. 155 Conor is mid. 170 Conor is you 1-1. He's fucking average, right? Oh no, he's 2-1. He beat Cowboy at 170. 1-1 with Nate at 170. But he's not a 170. He's not that big of a guy, and he's just adding muscle which really fucking doesn't do anything. These are supposed to be quick takes, so I got to rifle through these. Rogan, God, I love you, Joe. 84% picking is what he came out and said. My guy, Andrew Gamboas, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I forget. Let me look at his Twitter handle. So I was going to tweet at him because he is I believe, a professional capper. So yeah, Andrew Gambas. I can't pronounce your name, buddy. I can't pronounce Italian names. I'm sorry. I think it's Andrew Gambas Bets. He is at Bets and Picks MMA. I mean, has his own show. Does it? Listen, kid's nails. The kid's great. He big units. He's a professional for sure. And he called bullshit on this 84%. And I'm 100% with them. Like, what are we talking about here, right? 84%. Rogan made a casual comment that he used to bet early on in the UFCs. And then his business manager, someone was with them, and he would go place the bets for Rogan. They were cleaning up. They're picking 84% right. Bullshit. Bullshit. I mean, even if you're picking favorites, maybe you picked 84% for 2 cards or 1 card. But if you did betting over a sustained period of time with multiple bets, with multiple units, or multiple events, multiple bets, bullshit, right? There's just no way. So my guy Andrew was on Twitter, and he was getting people going, well, Rogan knows the sport better than anybody. People who have no idea what sports betting is. They're just defending their guy, Joe Rogan, which is fine. Do what you do. But he's like, no, that's not how, and then, he really ran with it well. He handled it well with some of these fucking idiots. But I had the same situation with a guy who continues I think I'm the only person he follows on Twitter. And every time I post something, he fucking kneels it. He likes to get after me. Don't know who it is. I think it has to be someone's burner. Someone that follows me that go, Brian, yeah, that's a good tweet. And then hops on the burner and goes, fuck you. You know what I mean? I don't have burners. I don't know. I've never had a desire to have a burner. I know friends of mine that have burners to look at girls and stuff. I'm a married man, so it doesn't matter. But I don't get the burners things. I thought a million years ago when I first started off, I thought about buying followers. I looked into it. But that was the extent of like any of this shady social media stuff. Like I just, it is what it is. But there's burners out there. And then there's one guy, I don't think it has to be a burner because there's no way he logs on the Twitter. I'm not big enough. I'm a nobody. There's no way that he just logs on the fuck with me. But he came at me. It might have been a different guy. I could be mixing my trolls up here, but I was picking at, what was it? I did the math. It was like 56%. And my goal is 60%. 60% in sports betting when you're betting, or in sports betting in general, but MMA, I only bet one sport. I was picking 60%. Or no, my goal was 60%. I think I was like 54, 56% or whatever it was. And he goes, that's not good. That's terrible. Most sharps are picking at 70, 80%. And I'm like, I'm not gonna give in to this guy. I'm not gonna, no, they're not. I'm ignoring it, but I couldn't. My animal instincts took over. And I was like, you are clueless. I gave in to him. We had a not nice back and forth, but the guy's clueless, right? There's probably a handful of people out there that could be having a really good year right now, picking in the 70%, but it's just not feasible. It's just not real. It's not, it's not withstanding. You're not going to do that for over a long period of time. If you're a proven better, like my guy, Andrew, and you're posting at a 55% clip, 56% clip, 60% clip, whatever he is, and you bet every event and you're putting out multiple plays event, that's fucking great. 60% of the time you're bringing home money, and you know what I mean? So people who don't understand sports betting, they see the number and they go, oh, well, if I got a 50% math, I'd fail. But that's not how it works in sports betting. So people that think Joe Rogan was betting or getting 84% betting percentage, and Joe Rogan, I love Joe Rogan. He's done more for the sport than, the only other person I would say that Fertitta is Dana White. I think the sport wouldn't be where it's at without Joe Rogan, and the fact that he's the biggest podcaster in the world and he's having all these fighters on and doing the events and just, bringing new fans in, I think he's incredible. But 84%, no. Wrong. No shot. And then Holland retiring. He doubled, tripled down this week. And then he's back fighting Stephen Thompson in December. So that's a fucking joke. MMA retirements are the biggest fucking joke. I mean, who are the guys that actually stayed retired? Dan Henderson, but he's almost 50. 50. Chris Lido retired late in his 30s, but he came back and did bare knuckle, right? He retired from MMA, but he did bare knuckle. I believe he's also done some boxing. Who else like stayed retired? Randy Couture again, but he's 150 years old when he retired. All these young retirements are bullshit, right? Unless it's a severe medical condition, bullshit. You know what I mean? Kevin Holland, I don't know what he was doing, getting his name out there or whatever, trying to, I think what it was, honestly, you know, now I'm in my mind, this big brain's working here overtime. He said, how am I going to get over this embarrassing Chimaev loss without people always bringing it up? And there's nothing to be embarrassed about by losing Chimaev. I mean, you're not a wrestler, you know, whatever, and you got taken down and you got mauled by guys who's a fucking bear, right? But how do you get over that? Oh, you're going to say you're retired. You made enough money, you're retired, done, pieces. I think he did the thanks for the cheese, I'm out, the McGregor thing. And then you're going to go on podcast since the retirement and double and triple down that you're done. And then meanwhile, have this fight announced. It's just, you're getting your name out there. All right. So that's it. So here comes, this makes no sense. This shouldn't be on Wednesday Takes, but it's a video I showed my wife and it's a video I showed a friend. Both them, I laughed. It's funny, but they could get through it without laughing, like multiple viewings. I cannot. So this is a challenge. Okay. I'm challenging myself to watch this with my beautiful, beautiful people on YouTube here, to watch it without laughing. This guy, so I'm not a big TikToker, but I have TikTok. I downloaded TikTok to make a MMA Takes TikTok, to put little clips of the podcast and shorts and stuff like that. You know, that's still a possibility. But as I'm strolling, because I was a Vine guy, I love Vine, right? As I'm strolling, you know, I think TikTok is just these, you know, these fucking the people that do these dances, like these weird dances, and they're kind of good looking, so they're millionaires now. Like that's what I thought TikTok was. But there's some actually really, 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 really funny people out there. So this guy, this isn't his channel. This is a channel dedicated to him. So this guy, I believe his name's Cobra, could be King Cobra. He literally streams like all day, every day on YouTube. He has a YouTube presence, right? And he asked people to send him stuff, and he's a very unique individual. So I think people like him. I think some of the self-awareness is not there anymore. He dresses very funny. And the TikToks are great because they just show little clips of his personality, I should say. And it's hilarious. So this guy, just look at him, makes me laugh. So he asked people to send him stuff. So people send him food. People send him like gift cards. Someone sent him a glitter bomb, right? He didn't know what it was. He opened it up as a glitter bomb. So this is a video of the compilation of all the times people send him glitter bombs. So I'm gonna try to play it. I'm gonna try to get through it without cracking my fucking head off.
I got this tube right here. Another glitter bomb. Another glitter bomb. Do I look stupid to you? How stupid do you think I am? I also got this. Two cigars directly from Cuba. To show the truth because they were quite expensive, and those pieces of shit will be jealous. Thanks for being you, Donovan. Donovan, my dude. Thank you. My trolls are the biggest pieces of shit. You have no idea. Fuck my asshole trolls. A glitter bomb. For more, yes.
So it's the second how dumb do you think I am? It's the second one that, I mean, the outfit, the fit, everything was just, it was perfect. So I failed, and you guys in the comments are probably like, that wasn't funny at all. My wife doesn't think it's funny anymore, but goddamn, that fucking gets me. All right, ask me anything time. So I got some hits from Twitter. I got some hits from Instagram. lot of good questions, a lot of good feedback, a lot of good people. Follow the show. Let me get prepared because Instagram DMs are hard to like copy and paste on here. So I just shouted out the people that wrote and just kind of, I want you guys to give them a follow if you're not following them already. I don't work my phone apparently. There we go. So I have no idea how I organize this. Is it Twitter first or is it Instagram first? Okay, we got a Twitter. Twitter first. Do you think, I can't even read it on the screen. It's so small. Do you think MMA can lose the stigma it has outside of a few countries in the West? Dana has done a decent job cleaning up his image as a legit sport, but I often see it still attacked as unprofessional, having generally far right fan base similar to NASCAR. That's at Big Moose 803. Okay, so I am a hardcore diehard fan, and I am not far right. And I do think there is still a stigma with the MMA community, barbaric or whatever they want to throw around. It is the ESPN deal has helped tremendously. And I think more and more people are really kind of gravitating to the sport. We've always had really good, like even back in the day, Clooney would show up to like every event. Now we got like really good, like younger people, younger celebrities showing up to each event. So, I think it's a legit sport. I think it's, Canadians hide your ears, but I think it's eclipsed hockey in America. I really do. I think, it's bigger than soccer in America. That's for sure. Or football, excuse me, my European fans. But I think, I think the big three, you got NBA or the NFL, NBA, baseball, and I think big four. And I think MMA is big four in America. I really do. I think a lot of people that think their fan base is similar to NASCAR. I think that's maybe a little antiquated. You like that word there? Antiquated. Because I think more than half the media are fucking, they're definitely not far right. That's for sure. All right, next up. What do you think the move should be the UFC if Esparza somehow beat Zhang? This is my boy Genie. This is my guy, day one guy, City Blues, at City Boy Blues. If Esparza somehow beat Zhang, what was the next move be? That's a good question because a lot of people think Esparza's not who the UFC wants to be the champion. It's a little dry, very boring performance against Rose. Rose is pretty. She's, got a lot of weird personality, I should say. Zhang obviously is an entire country, China behind her. She was like the most Googled, whatever they have. It's not called Google over there, but she was like the most Googled athlete after she won. Giant star. So yeah, I think the UFC wants Zhang to win for sure. But what do they do if Esparza wins? I think you got to give her Marina Higuez, who I think has earned it. You just got to keep giving her killers. And it could be just one of those things where if the UFC can't get rid of her and they go, oh, she is incredible, then they got to market her a whole different way. Carla Esparza is a sweet, small, sweet, cute, woman, not this trash talker or whatever, but she's lethal. She's dangerous. She's violent in there, and she's very, very good. So you just have to find a way to market her if she gets by Zhang. But yeah, I agree with you, Jeannie. I do think that they want Esparza to lose because the big money is going to be Zhang, obviously with the China history here. My question is, this is a good one. If your wife gave you a hall pass to hook up with any fighter on the roster, what guy are you looking to hook up with? This is a very good question. I tell you what, very, very cool. So to get it out of the way, my wife has hall passes as well. I believe hers is Andy Samberg, who she's obsessed with. Taryn, what's his name? Taryn. Why can't I think? The guy who played Elton John, who's also in the goddamn what my brain usually works. These are good movies. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to look it up because it's bothering me. And of course, I spelled his name wrong. Tara Egerton, Kingsman is the movies. That's her number 2. And I think like her number 3 floats around a lot with Ryan Reynolds and whoever the new guy is, or whatever. We watched the Elvis movie. She's really into the guy that played Elvis, Austin Butler. So, those are her 3. She probably has like 10. But mine, if I had a hall pass with 1, obviously the easy answer, Mackenzie Dern. She's beautiful. I got a lot of shit on live last time. Everyone said they were not into Mackenzie Dern, but I still got my thing for Joanna. But she's not in the UFC anymore, so that's not a good answer. I think Joanna Jacek is just, she's fierce. You know what I mean? I like a strong, independent woman, and that woman is fierce. So, is the easy answer Mackenzie Dern? Because I just sang her praises. That's the only one I'm remembering. Yana Jojua was up there as well. I'm gonna go Mackenzie Dern, not to be too big of a pervert and just keep talking about. But yeah, Mackenzie Dern will be my hall pass. My wife. She wouldn't like it too much, but she's got her list. I got mine. You know what I mean? She's got mine. Here we go. And that was blah, 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 what was the name? That was at B Bob Boblita. You see it on the screen there. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I mispronounced my own name. Think about that, Bob. Next up, that would be, I think it's hilarious when you say fighters stink. So with that being said, who are some fighters that stink and should not be in the UFC in your opinion? I mean, Chase Sherman, I think, just got booked to fight a lot of heavyweights. Should be out of the UFC. Randy Costa, if he's not with the UFC anymore, still with the UFC, he should be done. Not ready. Jamie Pickett, who's fighting Bo. I wanted a bigger fight for Bo. I get it, though. I can keep going on. There's a lot of fighters that stink. I'm probably forgetting some. But I would say the number one fighter is Mike Jackson, who's fighting next week. I've already filled out my sheet. I haven't even done study work on the guy who he's fighting. I've already said Mike Jackson's losing that fight. That's an automatic bet the opposite way. And then yeah, Alan Amideski, who just fought Joe Pyfer. If he's still in the UFC, he's probably the worst too. So those are my two answers. A lot of guys stink though, but those are my two here. What are your thoughts on Ilia Topuria potentially stepping for UFC Bryce Mitchell? I think it's a great thing. I think it's a little kind of a raw deal for my boy Bryce, because I think Evil Love has a little bit bigger of a name, at least within the company. Topuria has a bigger name with the hardcore fans. If Bryce Mitchell beats Topuria, that's going to mean more for the hardcore fans than it would for the company. The companies look at Evil Love as this fucking monster. Topuria still has some ways to go. Couldn't make weight. You know what I mean? He's got some out of the cage issues. But Bryce Mitchell, listen, he's a dog on that bone. He's an interesting guy to prepare for. Topuria has good grappling, but does he have a good enough grappling to stop Bryce Mitchell? Stand up, obviously, is going to be in Topuria's wheelhouse. He's going to fuck him up. Cardio, we haven't seen too much from Topuria cardio-wise. He has shown he is decent cardio, but with that pace that Bryce is pushing, very interesting fight, because I'm very high in Topuria, but Bryce Mitchell's one of those guys, man, that you don't want to underestimate, and he can sneak up on you. People don't like him because maybe his political views or whatever, but he is a fucking top dude. And that was from both of those were at CC Chris 1. Thank you, Chris. We got Jared Hostile here. Fucking shout out my guy Jared. What do you think about what's going on with Gregor Gillespie? Seemingly top-notch guy, but he just wouldn't take fights ranked below him and got removed from rankings for an activity because of it. What do you think his next move is? And does he have a shot? Does he have a shot at the top 5 one day? I think Gregor Gillespie had a top 5 shot maybe 2 years ago. I think he's kind of squandered those without taking fights for whatever reason. I know he's kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He's been like that from forever, but I think he's a dangerously talented fighter, but he is old. He's like 35, 36. I could be wrong about that. But when you're that old in this lower weight classes, I think, time might have passed you by. I think right now he's probably got to look at big fights, but the problem is he doesn't have that big name. He's literally routinely went on the UFC after a win and says, I'll never call anybody out. I know the last time he called somebody out, but I think it was their fishing skills. You're not going to win the UFC brass over. I know that's not your character, but just have a little bravado when you get up there and be like, I'm not calling anybody out. Someone call me out. I'll fight whoever calls me out. There's ways to go about it without, breaking your own code or whatever you have. But unfortunately, I think Gregor Gillespie's not going to sniff a title, even though I do think he has the talent to. And this is the question everyone wants to know. Do you sit or stand when you wipe? Okay, so that's all for Twitter. So let me go back to Instagram. So the sit or stand question is something that I love. So I posed a question. Oh, I don't even have this on the screen. Excuse me. So I posed a question last pod. Do you wash your hair or your body first? Now I wash my body. A lot of females, including my wife, wash their hair first. I have since tried to do the hair, but I'm in a routine. It's all muscle memory. So as far as standing up or wiping, I know most people sit down. My wife sits down. I'm a stander. Now, I know that's controversial because when you stand up, your cheeks come together and shit can go everywhere. I was taught, my parents I come from long-standing shitters. Here's the thing, though. I kind of do a little quarterback under the center haunch, and I get back there and I clean my business. Now, I use a ton of toilet paper. I wipe for excessive periods of time. I get yelled at by my wife for using too much. I cannot have a dirty asshole. Okay. So even though I stand and I've tried sitting, but I feel like I'm going to fall off the fucking toilet. Right. So I don't do that. I would love a bidet to get that asshole spotless, but I stand. I know it's controversial. I'll put my asshole against anybody's asshole on this goddamn YouTube right now. We'll go asshole for asshole, okay? Clean as a whistle. But yeah, I know most people sit. I didn't know that until a couple years ago. I thought everyone stood. And then my wife sat, and I'm like, she's weird. she's a woman. That's what they do, right? Because, my parents stood, and I don't think I've ever been around anybody else that sat, right? And then I got to work. I just asked a question. Most guys I work with, they are fucking sitters. So I am in the minority, I think, of sitting down. If you're open to talk about it, hammer the comments. So John Friend, he was on the live last week. Him and his brother are friends of the show. So go give them a follow. That's their handle right there on Instagram. What's your favorite UFC commentary team? Personally, I love the John Anik, Paul Felder duo during the COVID cards. It didn't feel crowded. I am a two-man team guy. I like two guys. I think when you add a third, it can get crowded. I think the gold standard right now is Rogan, DC, John. I think John is the best to ever do it, not just even MMA sports. I think it's insulting to bring up even anybody in the conversation. I know people are going to bring up Mauro Ranallo. I know people are going to bring up other people because they've been doing it for a lot longer than John, at least in the MMA space. But John Anik is hands down the greatest commentator this sport will ever have. His professionalism has took it to another level, and that's not a shot at Mike Goldberg. Mike Goldberg was great for the time that we had, but we have since moved on. My favorite duo, and I know this is going to sound absolutely Homer, you're a fucking idiot, but this is how I truly feel. And that's why it's so crazy now that I'm friends with them and I get to do a podcast with them. The best duo, in my opinion, was Florian Anik. When Goldberg and Rogan were the A team and Anik and Florian were kind of the B team, they were doing the fight nights and things. That was my favorite duo, hands down. Right now, currently, I like DC. I wish it was DC Anik a lot more, just those two. I think Laura Sanko's great, but she's only done the contenders. Brendan Fitzy, he's a good second man in there. He's got a big shoes to fill with John Anik, but and Anik Felder's great too, right? I've been critical of Cruz. Bisping's growing on me. I like his honesty, but sometimes his ego gets in his way. I think DC, though, my biggest issue with DC is him calling like a friends fight. I think that's why I like Paul Felder. Paul Felder excused himself because he wouldn't call the Jarrett Gordon fight. And then the next time Jarrett Gordon fought, Felder was in his corner. So he was on commentary, went to his corner. That was a situation, circumstances. But DC's willing to call these fights. And I don't necessarily know if he's not objective or if he's very biased or whatever. But I do think there should be a little, he's calling Deron Wins fights against, Phil Hawes, and Deron Wins his best buddy. It's just, it gets much. But so I guess to answer your question, I like a two-man booth. Anik and Felder's great. You don't really see Anik and Bisping much. Anik is the king now. So he only does really big cards. I think Anik Rogan would be interesting without a third. I'm sure that's happened before. It's not off the top of my mind. I can't remember, but I'm not really answering your question because I like too many, but my all-time favorite, John Anik and Kenny Florian. And I'm on the podcast with them, so you think I'm going to have to say that. Honest to God, that is the wholehearted truth there. So let's get to another Instagram here. We got Kale Graham on Instagram. He is Kale Instagram account. That's actually pretty fucking clever, Kale. First event you watched live. Also, what goes into an Anik and Florian pre-show? You talk with them, then went online when they do the other segments. Great question, Kale. First UFC event live. The first one I ever been to was UFC 77. That was my first one in the door. Rich Franklin versus Anderson Silva. in Cincinnati. Heartbreaking. First event I've ever watched live was UFC 40 at a buddy's house, UFC 41 at a buddy's house, and then UFC 42 was at my house. I finally said, I told my parents, I said, I'll pay for it on the bill. I got to order these fights. So from 42 and on, I haven't really, I mean, I've missed here and there because of life, but I get them all. So that was my first. And what goes into the Anik fight pre-show? So basically I just do my normal stuff. I just write out a little more notes. I don't really like to go heavy handed with my notes. I don't go word for word. I don't read off anything. It's just like little highlights I put in my notes app on my computer of what I want to hit, and like maybe a little stat or something. I usually do that 2 nights before the show, punch it up the day before the show, and punch it up even more the day of the show when I'm backstage. I usually log on before the Ray Longo minute so I can see the Ray Longo minute. I sit backstage a little bit. Sometimes they'll bring me on. We'll have a little chat off camera or like not recording. And then I'll wait for my segment to get on. And then after my segment, I'm gone, So, but usually typically during the Ray Longo minute, I'm doing final punches to make sure everything is in order. There's one show that I literally came right from work and I had no notes. And that's like, I literally had to apologize. They said I did good. And I went back and it was okay. But that was the one time I didn't have any notes and I was miserable. So that was a really good question there by Kale. Tatum Temple, sharp in her own right. She knows how to pick winners. She's an absolute G. What kind of music do you like? So again, I hate to be the guy that goes, I like everything, but I generally like a lot of music. You can go through my Apple Music and be like, this is weird. Like when Apple, they say, oh, we'll build, or Spotify, we'll build you a playlist on what you like. I think I'd break Spotify. I'm not a Spotify user, but I would break Spotify because of my taste. So I got like Little Baby in there. So growing up, I grew up with a music head. My stepfather, who I lived with, who raised me, has a record collection that's probably worth thousands and thousands of dollars. He still to this day only listens to CDs. He does not stream music. And he's got a plethora. I mean, rock and roll is, classic rock, and some of the newer stuff is all him. So I grew up on Queen. I grew up on the Beatles. I grew up on stuff like that. So I love Queen. I love the Beatles. I love classic rock. And then I got, 80s hair band stuff I like. And then when I was in middle school to high school, I love like that's early 2000 shit. So you got like 50 Cent, Eminem, all that like hip hop stuff. G-Unit, right? I love that shit. And then I've kind of faded at like a lot of the new rap I don't like. I like Little Baby a little bit. I got him on the board here. Nope, that's not it. Slime Forever, Little Baby. But then again, I also like some country. I like Chris Stapleton. I like Maren Morris. I like Taylor Swift. I like some poppy stuff. I can go with some Ed Sheeran. I'm all over the fucking map, right? I got, 1 minute I'll listen to the Beatles, Oh Darling. Next minute I'm listening to Chris Stapleton's fucking, You Gotta Leave, or whatever that song's called. Then I'm going to Little Baby with Drake. Then I'm going back to Maren Morris. Like I am all over the shop with my music. The one music that I can tell you I like all kinds of music. The one music I don't like is like heavy metal, like really heavy stuff like Slipknot and even Metallica. I don't like all that much. I work with a guy who's a music snob. So if he hears me say I don't like Metallica, he's going to be very upset. Another question by I keep calling him Temple. Tatum is, do you and your fam have a garden? Are y'all plant people? We do not have a garden. So we live in the city. We are 15 minutes from downtown Cincinnati. We live up on the hill. I live on Delhi Hills. So it overlooks the city and it's very condensed. I know that's not a good excuse not to have a garden. We don't have any land. My wife does plant things, but my grandparents were gardeners. They had a bunch of land when they lived here and even in Wilmington as well. So they planted and they garden stuff, and they had tomatoes and whatnot, everything like that. I'm not I unfortunately don't do that. And plant people. Yeah, my wife plants. Is that how you say that? Plants. But yeah, not much of a garden guy. And this one here, this is from my wife. This is my wife's account right here. Shout out Winnie Hayes. Go follow her. She is amazing. She makes great stuff on Etsy. And she wrote, how big is your wang? So the reason I added this in there is because of two things. Not only does she know how big my wang is, after the first date, hey, but she's never said wang before a day. And I mean, this is literally what she said. Can you get that on camera there? Look at that. how big is your? So not only she's never said wang before, I didn't know she knew wang was another term for a penis, nor did I never seen her type it out. So when I got that, when I woke up, I went, huh, wife wants to talk about wangs, which is very interesting. All right, we're almost an hour. That was social media MMA. So kung fu time, story time, real quick. Let me get a drink. So my parents reminded me of this, which again, I always remember more things than they do. Middle school, I left elementary school, went to middle school. I was the last 6th grade class in my elementary school. I don't know how it is where you were. Last grade, 6th grade class, went to middle school for only 7th, 8th grade, then went to high school. Middle school, I went in with this mentality of like Billy Badass, right? I saw this movie, New Guy, which is an absolute horrible movie. There it is with the dude from Old School, or no, Road Trip, the skinny little dork. He did a movie where he's a new guy in school, and there's a scene in that movie where he goes to jail and he talks to this guy to jail of how to become a new guy. And this guy goes, you go up to the biggest, baddest guy in school and you fight him and you let people know you're not to be fucked with. That's what you do in jail. So I literally did that in 7th grade, right? And I had this aura about, all I care about was touching girls' boobs in 7th grade, because you could do that in 8th grade as well. I was girl crazy, touching boobs, playing sports, because I played a lot of sports in middle school, and getting in fights if need be. That's all I cared about. I did horrible in middle school. I had to go to summer school 8th grade to fucking get to high school. That's how dumb I was. So going into freshman year, my parents sat me down, and my parents are not strict whatsoever. And they're like, listen, quit fucking around, right? Do the work, show up. You're a smart kid. Just apply yourself, blah, blah, blah. So I go into freshman year, and I was a little timid. That's the only time in my life I've ever been timid before. Not a timid person. But my thing is like, listen, I need to get to high school. And my high school, I graduated 1,000 kids. There's 1,000 kids in my class. It has only gotten bigger. It used to be the biggest high school in Cincinnati. I think we're now number 2. And I think we're top 10 biggest high schools in Ohio. Like it's enormous, right? You go with a lot of people. So you're merging all together. And freshman year, you're a little nervous. You're the young dog. You're 15. You get all these upperclassmen, blah, blah, blah. So all I wanted was a girlfriend, and then to try to do my work with my parents said. I don't want to get any fights. There's a couple times there's fights that 8th grade Brian would have got into, probably Brian today would have got into. I really try to keep a straight lace. So I got a girlfriend, and I was doing all the right things. That's probably the best year of high school I did, because sophomore year I completely did a 360 or 180, because 360 led me back to the same spot. Complete 180, became an asshole, got in a fight, suspended. The rest of my high school career, suspended for fights, all that stuff, whatever. So anyway, timid Brian walks into a math class. He's got his girlfriend. He wants to do good. There's a girl in there that I grew up with. She lived up the street from me. We're really good friends. I sit next to her. This guy in this math class, my high school, you can sit anywhere. You didn't have assigned seats. This guy had assigned seats. So I unfortunately got to sit next to her, but next to me was this kid who was kind of white trashy, really into like motocross, and was just kind of a weird guy a little bit, right? I don't know him, right? So 2 weeks in this class, he is just talking down to everybody. He's a very smart guy. He's condescending. He's rude. I'm right next to him. Of course, I'm not dealing with this guy. I'm just like ignoring him. And then and then the teacher leaves the class. And then the girl that I knew, grew up with, that I liked, who was my friend, he starts talking down to her, calling her dumb because she got a question wrong, yada, yada. So I stood up and I threw his books off the fucking desk, right? All year, I've been waiting to fight now, right? I pick his desk up and throw it up, and I'm screaming at him. Teacher walks in, and it's like when the cameras are on, I act even more mad. Fuck you, blah, blah, blah. And I swear to God, he's sitting there, he's going. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Get up. I'm not going to hit him while sitting down. You don't hit man with glasses. You don't hit a man sitting down. I get brought in the hallway. Teacher talks to me. What's going on? I explain it to him. Get back in class. He just moves us, right? Moves me and the girl. We get away from the guy, whatever. So that day after school, I didn't go home for whatever reason. I went home, but I didn't get home late. Go home. My stepdad comes and goes, hey, what happened at school today? And he's never asked that. And I'm like, okay, well, and I had really forgotten about it. I wasn't really hung up on it. I'm like, well, I didn't get in trouble. There's no way my math teacher called him about the incident. Nothing. He goes, well, I got an incident call by one of your classmate's father. And he's like, get this. He calls me and he says, hey, assumingly he got the number from my high school. He called the high school and they just straight gave him my parents' number. He goes, hey, and now you got to mind you, my stepdad, my father, Don, he is the most like straight-laced kind of guy, like doesn't believe in a lot of things, right? He's just very straight and narrow kind of guy. No weird shit, right? Just, he's weird, but just in his own way. This guy calls and goes, "Hello, sir." And he's talking very like, uppity and like, like he's a he's a king. "Your son and my son got in a quarrel at school, and I think it's appropriate that boys handle their business. So I invite you to my gym where I teach, and or your son and my son can settle this in the art of kung fu," or something along those lines. And my stepdad's like, "What? Don't call here again. What are you talking about?" Hangs up on him. I said, "Are you serious?" So this guy wanted me to go to his gym. Now, there used to be two of these places on the west side, right next to a Chinese restaurant, and one like kind of like Midtown. It had a big yellow sign, and it said Kung Fu on it. And there's two of them, right? And they were always loaded back in the 90s, or early 2000s, loaded with people. So this guy must have ran one of those. His son, who was doing the fucking praying, wanted me to come, gee up, and fight him. And of course, like I found this out secondhand. My father already said no. So I was like, "Oh, fuck," I'm sitting in my room stewing like that motherfucker. Let it go. Never even spoke to the guy the rest of my life, right? I was going to put a picture of him in the yearbook. I found him in the yearbook, but I thought I didn't want to dox him. I wasn't going to give his name out or anything, but I didn't want to, show his face in case someone knows him, whatever. But, he finished in high school, graduated with us, but he was much more smarter than me. So he's in smarter classes. So I never had an interaction with him again. But I remember coming to school the next day, telling my friends like, "Hey, so-and-so, me and him got into it." And his dad runs one of those gyms, the Kung Fu schools, and wanted me to come and Kung Fu fight his son. And the guy's like, "No, he doesn't run the gym. He's in the class with his son. So this motherfucker doesn't even teach, doesn't even run. He just is taking classes with kids. He's like Kramer from fucking Seinfeld, beating up little kids." He made it seem like, in the gym. No, he works at a pet store. He works at the pet store and he's doing Kung Fu. His kid was in it first, then he joined with him. And I get it, father bonding experience, but you're beating up kids, man. That is some funny shit. I should track that guy down. Maybe he's in the UFC. Maybe the Kung Fu fucking took him far. But that's it. That's story time. Wednesday Takes. Follow me on all social media at Brian Petrie MMA, Instagram, Twitter. I love all of you. We're 128 people away from 1,000 people. Let's get to 1K, baby. I need it. I want it. I love it. Let's go.